What's up, YouTube friends? My name is Prince and I am an urban acolyte. And this video is going to be my full review of the Wonder Woman movie, which I've now seen twice. And I have to admit that I'm even more amazed after a second viewing than I was the first time around when I said that I was blown away in my spoiler review that I posted yesterday. So before I get into the meat of this review, I want to acknowledge a few people. First off, thank you to Allan Heinberg for writing an excellent screenplay. Thank you to director Patty Jenkins for bringing this vision to the big screen and making what I feel to be one of the best superhero origin stories that I've ever seen. Thank you to Gal Gadot for killing it as the Princess of Themyscira. Your performance shut everyone up who didn't think you could play the part. You rocked it, girl, and I can't wait to see you in Justice League. Also want to acknowledge an acquaintance of mine, Mei-Ling Ung. She played an Amazon warrior named Orana, and I knew Mei-Ling was in this movie when she suddenly went off to Italy for a vacation last year. Seeing Mei-Ling on the big screen has been very inspiring for me and for my own personal aspirations. One of the things I'm going to talk about in this review is how Wonder Woman, much like Superman, is a symbol of hope. And Mei-Ling, you might not know it, but you're a symbol of hope to those of us who've been following your career for the last 5 or 6 years. Okay, let's jump into this review. I'm going to start off by saying this, and it's going to come off as a bit of a surprise if you're new to this channel and you don't know about the kinds of themes I point out when I do my movie reviews. But for me, Wonder Woman's origin story had a lot of Buddhist elements to it. As a matter of fact, I would go so far as to say that Diana is a kind of bodhisattva of compassion in the DC Extended Universe, or whatever DC is calling their movie universe. So if you're not familiar with the story of the Buddha, he was born into the warrior caste and he was a prince. He's trained as a warrior from the moment he could hold a spear, and the expectation is that he will one day become king. A wise man said that he would either become a great king or some kind of sage who will save the world. His father wanted him to become a warrior and a great king, so he sheltered him. The only thing that he would know is a life of pleasure and a life without suffering. This is very much in line with Diana's upbringing when the movie flashes back from the present to tell her origin story. We see little Diana in Themyscira, and from day one, Diana wants to fight. She wants to train. She wants to hear the stories of this Amazon warrior culture that she is to one day rule as the daughter of Queen Hippolyta. The thing is, from the very beginning, Queen Hippolyta does everything she can to shelter Diana from her true calling, her true destiny. So this is where the story of Diana Prince mirrors Prince Siddhartha. I want you to store all of this stuff about the Buddha and Wonder Woman in your memory banks, because I want to go over the plot in the movie, but I plan to come back to the theme about Wonder Woman and her Buddhist path very shortly. Alright, so time shifts to the early 20th century when the events in the movie occur. We see a now adult Diana questioning herself. Who am I? What is the truth about me? Why does Antiope keep saying that I'm holding back? In a sense, she's questioning herself. She's trying to discover the self. It's the beginning of the hero's journey, or the heroine's journey in her case. At this point, it's usually a supernatural event that jars the hero into action. And that's exactly what happens. She sees something like a bright and morning star falling from the heavens. And if you didn't know, that's a reference from the book of Isaiah in the Hebrew Bible. Now, because Diana is already in a place created by the gods, her bright and morning star is something from the modern world, from the world of humans. It's Captain Steve Trevor crashing his plane after he tried evading the pursuing German forces. Captain Trevor has been on a spy mission investigating the Central Powers' plans to sabotage the Armistice Peace Treaty signing with a new form of mustard gas created by Dr. Poison. Steve managed to steal Dr. Poison's notebook documenting all of her work, and this brought him some heat from the Germans who were pursuing him. They shot down his plane and he was luckily rescued by Diana, but the Germans pursuing Steve managed to pierce the veil and find their way into Themyscira. Now, this event introduced the state of the modern world to the Amazons, but it also served another purpose in Diana's journey. Her mentor, Antiope, was killed in the battle on the beach. For Diana, this was her Obi-Wan gets struck down by Darth Vader moment. See, in Star Wars, up to that point, Luke Skywalker was just along for the ride because, well, he didn't really have anywhere else to go after his Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru got barbecued by the Empire. When Obi-Wan became one with the Force, Luke had to act. He had to run. He had to trust the Force to destroy the Death Star. And he had to begin this deeper mission of self-discovery, which would culminate in him restoring his father's honor and becoming the last Jedi. For Diana, the death of Antiope was her push to discover her true self. She became aware of the war and the suffering. She was told that this is the time to act. This is the time to go and get Aries. He's the one behind this. Fulfill the mission of the Amazons. Take the God Killer and destroy Aries for once and for all. So this is what she set out to do. And the funny thing is, when you go back and watch the movie a second time, ask yourself if Antiope was telling Diana to take the sword, if she was telling her to discover who she really is, or if she were telling her to do both. And this kind of made me think of that new King Arthur movie, which totally bombed in the box office. But you have a magic sword, Excalibur. And the thing about Excalibur in that movie is that its magic can only be unlocked by someone of the Pendragon bloodline. So even though you have this magic sword, well, it doesn't matter unless you discover who you really are and how you are connected to the magic. Does that make sense? Well, in the case of Diana, we would discover that the sword didn't matter at all. And that would come at the moment of her awakening, or her moment of her enlightenment in the final act of the movie. Now, the interaction between Diana and Steve as they return to the modern world highlights just how naive Diana really is. I love Gal Gadot's acting in these parts. She believes that all people are good at heart. The Germans have been corrupted by this war machine created by Aries, the god of war, and all she has to do is to defeat Aries, and goodness will return to the whole wide world. I was waiting for rainbows to appear in the clouds to match the twinkle in Diana's eyes. And I'm glad that didn't happen, but it was so cheesy to the point that you bought it because think about it. This woman has been completely sheltered her entire life. She's read these books and been taught these lessons about the world by her tutors, but she's never really experienced the world. She's never seen suffering. She's never seen war. She's never seen human cruelty. All she's known are the myths and the stories that she was told, including the myth that she was told about her own creation and how she came to be. So the second act in this movie deals with two themes. The first of them is the war. Will the war end? How will this plan that Ludendorff is working on with Dr. Poison turn out? Will Steve and his team actually be able to stop them when the Triple Entente, being led by the British, seem to be completely focused on the armistice? What's going to happen with this thing that we as the audience obviously know will happen? We know that Ludendorff plans to use the armistice to launch this mustard gas attack and give the Germans a final victory. We also are seeing Diana's identity being stripped away. It's like she has to lose herself in order to find herself. Who are you? What kind of warrior are you really going to be? See, in theology, there's this way of describing God called apophatic theology or negative theology. You talk about God by saying what God is not. And this via negativa is basically Diana's path of self-discovery. Steve is constantly telling her what she won't do, what she can't do. Everyone says no to her. This is not something we can do, Diana. We have this mission to do. We have to do this mission this way or it'll fail. We didn't set out to do this thing that you want to do, Diana. We can't help that animal, Diana. We can't free that village, Diana. No, Diana, we're not doing that. It's impossible. No man can do that, Diana. It's impossible. And it's at that point when Diana begins to believe in herself. She begins to believe in her own strength and she stops looking outward for acceptance or for approval. And I don't think it's ironic that Diana makes her big stand at a place called No Man's Crossing. And it's almost like it's a nod to that line from Macbeth that says, "None born of woman shall harm him." Macduff was delivered by C-section, so technically he wasn't a man born of woman. And in this case, Diana crosses because she's not a man. And that crossing, it felt like a moment out of that first Captain America movie. These soldiers are pinned down in this bunker, no hope. And out of nowhere, a superhero with a shield gives them hope to make a push in enemy territory where they previously had no hope and no chance of a victory. Now, as if that scene wasn't enough, what Diana does in the city of Vert when she frees it, that scene, sorry to quote my earlier video, the non-spoiler one, but this scene was freaking amazing. Diana jumps through windows fighting the German forces. She's running and jumping from building to building in pursuit of the soldiers. There's the sequence when she lands on the ground and uses the lasso of truth as a whip that is just completely beautiful. I know people had issues with the use of slow motion during that entire battle, but when you're filming fight sequences, there are these long cuts, and I prefer to see those during fight scenes as opposed to the quick cuts and shaky cameras that are used in a lot of movies. See, those techniques get used a lot because stunt people are actually doing the work as opposed to the actual actors. And my personal thoughts are that these slow motion shots were all stuff done in post-production to keep the focus completely on Diana. And it didn't bother me at all. I mean, personally, I would rather look at Wonder Woman kicking butt. And besides, focusing on Gal Gadot is a good thing, right? Right? But anyway, getting back to the plot. There's a conversation on the way to the gala that I felt was important. Steve explains Diana's origin to the rest of the group, and Samir and the chief both immediately buy into her story. Look at what she just did back there. I believe her. Charlie doesn't buy it, and he asks Steve, and Steve remains silent. And it's really funny because Steve and Diana are like on polar opposites. She fully believes this thing she's been taught her entire life to believe. And Steve, in spite of everything he's seen on his adventure, he has doubts about what Diana believes. And this is important. It's important because Diana does have her showdown with Ludendorff, who she believes to be Aries. And I'll admit that I had my suspicions regarding a certain other character. But Ludendorff seemed like he might be Aries. And I had questions about Dr. Poison creating that gas that was supposed to help him regain his strength. Like maybe Aries lost something after Zeus injured him. Now I'm wondering if what Dr. Poison created was actually something similar to the Venom formula that Bane will later use. Either way, I knew something was up with how easily Diana was able to dispatch Ludendorff. Initially, I thought he wasn't actually dead. Like, no way could this guy die so easily. But then we got our big reveal, or a confirmation if you look at Sir Patrick's response to Trevor attending that gala at the castle. Like, why didn't he want them to attend? So we find out that Sir Patrick is actually Aries, and that he's been controlling both sides of this war all along with many others. He attributes himself as the inspiration of humankind and their ability to discover technological advances to hasten the progress of their own demise. We have this picture of a faithful son to Zeus who only wants to show that the humans are unworthy of what they've been given. Ares makes himself out to be this very Luciferian type character. He's the light bearer or the bringer of light, but his true intent is to shine a light on humanity so that they can see how to destroy each other. He feels this is the only way to restore the world to the paradise it once was. So it made me think of something like Paradise Lost. And in Milton's Paradise Lost, Lucifer is kind of a tragic hero. He's not completely good or completely bad, but he has some serious flaws that bring about his undoing. Just like in Paradise Lost, Ares leads a one-man revolt against Zeus. He slays all the other gods and demigods of Olympus, as told by Queen Hippolyta at the beginning of the movie. Ares is injured in a final battle with Zeus and he flees Olympus to recover from his injuries. And as Ares tells Diana, he's been influencing humanity's development ever since that time. And it echoes a line from Paradise Lost that it is better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven. Ares also gives a big reveal to Diana in that she's actually the God Slayer, not her sword. The story that she's been told about how she was formed from clay and given life by Zeus is a lie. She's actually the daughter of Zeus. She is a god herself, and because only a god can kill another god, she was raised by Queen Hippolyta and trained by the Amazons to kill Ares. At this point, both Ares and Steve Trevor facilitate Diana's awakening. Ares tells her the truth about herself, and Trevor tells her the truth about the world. He says, look, this thing you believe about Ares and the world, it might not be true. And Diana, you're not to blame for what has happened and what might happen in the future. There is a darkness in the heart of humanity that will still be there after Ares is gone. And you can be the one to confront that bigger battle. My actions can save the world today, but your actions can save the world for tomorrow. It takes Diana's awakening to really understand that message, that she can save the world tomorrow and how she can save the world in the future. It's not by being the warrior that I thought of when I thought of Wonder Woman, but it's by being the symbol of hope, the symbol of love, and the symbol of compassion. And I know that it might be difficult to reconcile all of these things with the fact that, Wonder Woman is still a butt-kicking superhero. But if you look at Buddhist artwork, the bodhisattva are always depicted as warriors. The Buddha was a warrior. He trained in a martial art called Vajramukti, which means lightning-style martial art. You have Vajrayana Buddhism, which means the lightning path or the lightning way to awakening. And here you have the daughter of Zeus, and Zeus's symbol is lightning. It's also the bull, which we saw when Diana stole the God-Killer's sword earlier in the movie. Another interesting bit, Diana has to fight Aries, who she realizes to be her brother, and it's like you've taken the masculine and feminine aspects of Zeus and you're pitting them against one another. You see, the full name of Zeus is Dios Zeus, Aries representing the masculine part and Diana as Dias, the feminine aspect of Zeus. In their fight, Aries first attempts to lure Diana to his side by appealing to her desire. We can rebuild the world, restore it to what it once was. He then turns to an all-out attack, and notice how his attacks are mostly magic-based attacks. Diana's still focused on the physical, the body. She's fighting with her fists and her feet. And this is in part because she doesn't know how to tap into her full abilities, but it's also because she's not fully awakened. The moment of her awakening comes when Aries tries to throw all of that shrapnel at her. And that part struck me as interesting because, again, this is similar to the event at Bodh Gaya during the Buddha's awakening. See, the Buddha was confronted by the demon king, Lord Mara, at the moment of his awakening. Lord Mara presented his beautiful daughters to Buddha, but the Buddha rejected them. He rejected pleasure. Lord Mara then raised up an army of archers to kill the Buddha, but the Buddha touched the ground. The illusion went away, and the Buddha defeated Lord Mara. Diana, in the same way, defeated Aries' initial attack. When Aries called down the lightning to destroy Diana, well, that didn't work either. The lightning is a symbol of knowledge and knowing the inner self, the true self. It's a symbol of awakening, and it's a symbol of Zeus. Diana awoke to her true nature, her true self as the daughter of Zeus, as the bodhisattva of compassion. This lightning attack could have no effect on her, and so she absorbed the lightning, and she turned Aries' intent back on him. His intent was to destroy, to kill, to vanquish, and he became a recipient of what he wanted to do to her. It's like taking a package and marking "return to sender" on it, and this is a very Buddhist thing to do. There's a Buddhist saying that goes, to insult a wise person is like spitting on the sky. What happens if you try to spit on the sky? Well, the spit comes right back down at you, and if you don't move, it lands on your face. And so, with that, we return back to the modern world. After the events in Metropolis from Batman vs. Superman, we see Diana don her Amazonian armor and fly off on an adventure in Paris. And I was left with a few questions. The first being, well, what happened to Diana between World War I and the fight with Doomsday? What has she been doing all that time? Who has she become since that time? And what personal challenges does she now face? Also, will we be seeing any more of the Amazons or any more gods from the Greek pantheon? I guess these are questions that will have to be answered when we get more stories from the DC Extended Universe. But I've said a lot in this video, and now I'd like to hear from you. First off, what were your favorite scenes in the Wonder Woman movie? Also, what are your thoughts on what I've shared in my review? Has this movie changed the way you previously viewed the Wonder Woman character? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll be checking back to see what you all have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Commit yourself to the process of becoming a hero of your own story and become a force for change in your community. Continue to check back for more videos on Star Wars, martial arts films, and tips on how martial arts training and meditation can improve your life. Make sure to check out some other videos on this channel, and if you like this video, please share it with your friends. Well, that's all I've got for this one, so thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you. Always.